Hi, my name is Steve Richards. I'm with Wyoming Outdoor Industries, and we're going to show you how to pack the sawbuck. We're going to make it plain and simple so you can get down the trail easy and as safely as possible. First of all, we're going to start off trying to show you different parts of the saddles and how to fit it to the animal, and then we're going to go into the packing part. The parts of the saddle, these are the crossbucks. And these are the bars. This is called a humane tree. This goes back before Christ's time, and it's come up through the years on the in the packing, and the miners used it, and this is how our West was developed. And this is called a mule tree. The difference between humane tree and what's called a mule tree is the bars on the saddles are about 1.5 inches shorter on the mule tree. You also notice that the crossbucks stand straight up, and you'll have on the humane tree there's a little bit of slant to the crossbucks. This tree, I think that just because it's called a mule tree does not necessarily make it adaptable to every mule. It's actually for a smaller backed animal, and quite frankly, hardly anybody takes the time to fit these saddles. What we're going to talk about is how to fit and adjust a fixed bar saddle so it fits your animals well. You can take some flour and put on the animal's back, coat it down real good, set the saddle up in there, pull it off, and you'll see where all the white spots are. You take a rasp and you rasp down and file down the high spots, and keep applying the saddle. Just lay it up there until that thing fits real well, and you get a coating of flour all the way through on that. And that should set in there so it'll fit on that animal's back comfortably without pads. And then you can put your pack pads on there, and it'll ride on that particular animal's back real well. Then these are adjustable trees here that have, this is a fixed arch that has ears on it, and the bars on it pivot, and we'll get discussing these. This is a aluminum arch with an adjustable where you can spread the arches, and I prefer the adjustable saddles, and the reason I do is because the animals can be kind of fat in the springtime, and then as they get work hardened, they're a different animal. Not only that, if you want to put the saddle on the mule this weekend, and then you want to put it on the horse next weekend, you can still adjust these arches so they'll fit there. And if you can notice, the bars will hinge right down to fit the animal's back, and it'll ride a lot better and more comfortably for the animal. The other one, if you can fit the saddle and everything, but if your horse dies or you trade the horse off, then you'll have to readjust that saddle to the next animal. This particular tree will fit every animal as it comes down the pike. We're going to discuss the different parts of the saddle, and there's 3 different types of harnesses. They can be made out of leather or nylon. We prefer to use biothane. Biothane is a coated nylon that slides over the mule's hair. It doesn't cut the mule's hair like some of the other materials do. It stays flexible down to 50 below zero, and It's a lot better for the animal, very strong. It's 1,000 pounds tensile strength per width inch, and we find that it's something that will withstand the weather, like leather will crack and dry out in rain and that. It gets stiff when it's cold, and this stuff still stays pliable. We're going to talk about different parts. This is a breast collar. These are called quarter straps. This is the rigging. These are also called quarter straps. So one goes to your cinch, the other one goes to your rigging ring. This is called a spider, and this is a butt pad, and this is called a britchin. I really prefer to have my rigging on a buckled situation where you can change the way your rigging has a cinch on there. You can move your cinch forward or backwards by having buckles up in here. And if you have a pack saddle already and you want to, and you had one of the older style of the biothane or the humane tree, you can mount a couple buckles, run your straps around, and this allows you then to fit the cinch in its proper area. You'll find out these saddles will ride a lot better, carry the load a lot better in if they had the cinch in the proper position in relationship with the tree. I like to use a double wide cinch that gives more area to carry your carry your load. If you were to give an example of that, would be if you have a backpack on yourself and you had real noodle straps versus a nice wide strap, the wide strap's a lot more comfortable. So I feel like the cinch represents the straps like over your shoulders. I like, this is a type of pack pad that I really like. This is a polyester fleece. It has a wool felt liner on the inside. It has a canvas here. It allows the mules back to breathe and still give plenty of padding on it. It'll wick the moisture away, and the wicking of the moisture on that has a cooling effect, and they'll run a lot better on it. There's plenty of padding in this thing. The outside of this thing can be washed. You can take the felt pad outside of it. It's a wool felt pad. Not necessary to have a half-breed on Sawbuck. Most people do not run the half-breed on there. The half-breed, what it does, and I use a breathable half-breed. I always like to keep that back so it can breathe. Spans the weight so it's not against the animal's ribs, and it carries the rings away from there so that the knot is away from the animal. And then we should talk about how the saddle should be adjusted. Your breast collar should run a little bit loose. You can take the conways and you can adjust the length on your saddle by running your conways and loosen them up, draw it up there. In order to adjust your britchin and the way it lays on your animal's rump, you adjust each one of your conways, which are these buckles. You should have around the round portion of the butt of the animal. You don't want to get down there where their leg is really working. You need to have it up. It should have it somewhat loose so that they can slide in there, and it's just a tap, 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 tap motion as they go down the trail. Okay, panniers are what you carry your supplies in on the side of your horse. They have a little belt that hooks on the Sawbuck, and each one, they come in so many different varieties. You got canvas ones, you've got Cordura ones, aluminum, wooden, plastic. It's just a matter of a way to carry your equipment back in the backcountry. And I am a firm believer that if you have an item that you're going to be carrying stuff in, once you're back into your back into your camp, each product should have a dual purpose. We have these are breathable meat panniers, or a bag pannier. A lot of the hunters use these to put their elk quarters in. It allows the meat to breathe and cool. It also can be used, it works up real clean, and they can be used for carrying your sleeping bags, your cots, tents, personal gear. They have a strap that goes over the top. Then they have the two straps to go on the sawbucks. And then your plastic panniers, and these also make into a table. They have, they're very durable. These particular ones can have a water faucet on them. You can store your water into them, or if you want to hang it up, you can have it as a shower type deal, put a shower head in that. We also have available to us it's a chainsaw carrier, but this thing can be used for many things, like a top carrier on a car. Say you're wanting to carry video cameras or what have you back there. This is just like a top rack, fits right on top of the saddle, and you can get right into your outfit for easy handling. And you can pack in your stuff, so it's real handy to get to it. It has a little snap clip, safety clip in there, so it don't go pop open on the trail. And it fits right on top of that aluminum adjustable Sawbuck saddle. The Cadora ones are probably one of the simplest things for people to pack in. You put your duffel into this is called an H-pack. It has a zippered and Velcroed top on it. And you can put your sleeping gear in there, your tents and that stuff. Keep them protected. The panniers themselves can be used. They have a plastic liner in them. The plastic liner can come out, and you can use just the bag itself to haul your equipment in. This affords a little bit more protection if you want to haul foodstuffs in. These panniers right here, you have a kitchen and a stove. It's got a 2-burner stove up here that creates a kitchen once you're back in there. You got to carry your food in there. You got to carry a stove in there. So this gives you a good pannier to put things together. The lids are the shelves that span the 2 units. The legs come off so that it becomes a pannier. These are aluminum. These are also bear resistant boxes, approved for the use in bear country. And the legs come off. Store them inside. I normally store those up on top underneath the stove. And I always have ours pre-loaded and pre-weighed before they go on the trail. The kitchen has a removable shelf. You can put 5 dozen eggs in their cartons down in here. Lay the shelf down and you put canned goods right on top of it. Store your legs inside. They have pannier straps on, these on them. This is another set. These are just plain storage, but they do make a table. This is a soft-sided cooler, and it can be stored in here. This becomes your refrigerator. Keep your foodstuffs cool while you're back in the backcountry and contained in a bear-resistant storage. In packing your panniers up, you need to keep things in mind that you need to, I like to have my panniers to weigh about 65 pounds each. It can weigh 50 to probably 70 pounds. And it's very important that you take the back side of the pannier, or the part of the pannier that rides next to the animal, and towards the bottom is where you want to put your weight. So this is a small propane bottle, and we'll stick that in there. And this has this is a little cooler that has our day's worth of groceries in there and food. We got some dishwash and soap in there. We have a collapsible water bucket here. We've got us a small day pack that we'll put in there. And you should have your load as equally distributed, or with the weight, if you got one that's a little bit heavy, you should have it towards the center. And you want your panniers to be weighing the same on each end. And we got us a sleeping bag here. We're going to go for an overnighter. Stuff that in. This pack scale is one that's really handy for one person to use. There's a little gadget right here that when the weight's on there, it stays down there until you can take it up here and take a look at it, see how much it weighs. And you can go from one pannier to the next to find out what your weight is. Hook your load onto that. Just kind of raise that up, get it off the ground, find out how much it weighs. And you should have both your panniers weighing exactly the same, or as close as you possibly can. You need to take one out and put it in the other or something like that, but you have them equally weighed so that your load is riding equally. The whole thing is to keep your load weighing the same, and then you want it equally set on the side of the horse. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Okay, we're going to be putting a set of Morgan panniers on the mule here. This is probably one of the simplest methods of packing there is. You always want to put the offside on first, and you hook the straps on. Over the cross bucks. You try to adjust them. They all have buckles on it, so you need to adjust the buckles to get your panniers to running at the right height. You don't want the back up higher, and you don't want the front up higher. You need to kind of look and tell how they're riding. They shouldn't ride too high, and neither should they ride too low. Then we put the onside on last. And here again, I like to settle the load in and check and see how equal they are. And I definitely like to have them riding equally off to the back of the animal. And on this particular type of setup, everything just buckles in. You have your belly strap. There's no knots or anything else. You have your H-pack. The biggest problem with H-packs, they're big, and you can put way too much weight in there. And the thing that people get in the trouble the most with is they put too much weight on top. And your top loads at the maximum should be no more than 30 pounds. And I prefer that the loads be 20 to 25 pounds or less. And if I can get by without any top pack, I prefer that even more. If you're going to get in trouble, it'll be on a top pack. The top pack just buckles in to the rings inside the box. It has little keepers up there. And that's the way your load should look. You should come back here and make sure that everything is equal. We've got our pannier in loaded on the other side, and we'll put our other pannier on. I like to make sure that all my buckles are to the outside where I can get to them, and then that way if I need to make an adjustment onto the saddle or on the panniers and how they hang, I can get to the buckles readily. I like to make sure that they're nice and level, they're riding just right. And then comes our top pack. We're throwing a tent on. We'll set that right in the middle, and I always like to double check, make sure it's riding as close to the center as possible so that your weight is evenly distributed. And then we like to use a canvas mani, and the mani is 8 foot by 7 foot. You throw it over. Now the biggest thing that I like to mention about on manis, there's a lot of manis out there on the market. A lot of guys like to use a waterproof type mani. My problems with that is it doesn't let the backs of the animal breathe. This is a canvas mani, and what I like to do is make sure that I try to tuck it in so that my cross bucks are exposed, and this will also allow a little more heat to dissipate off the animal's back. I like to tuck this all in, and this is all to protect it from the weather, and if you have rain or something like that, to keep the stuff off your supplies. Make sure you tuck this all up underneath out of the road so it's not flapping as it's going down the trail. And then what we're going to teach is one knot. There's many different kinds of hitches that can be used on carrying a load, and we could spend a good time telling you all kinds of hitches, but I'm going to teach one hitch that allows to carry just about every kind of load, and it doesn't matter if you're a tall person, it's easy to do a diamond. But if you're a short person, it's real hard to get up here and make your twist to make your diamonds. And so what I like to do is teach this one. It's called a Sierra box hitch. It's also called a Bosco, and it's got a lot of different names. Just to simplify it, we'll call it a box hitch. And there's various versions of that. But I like to use 55 foot of rope. Okay, this is a 5/8 polyester solid braid, and this is a hitch that one person can do, and as men, women, and children can do this one. It's a good little hitch, and a lot of the outfitters are using just this one exclusively. You throw your lice cinch over the top and run your rope down right through the middle. Now, after you have ran your rope over and you threw your lice cinch underneath, you can take the hook end of your lice cinch, make sure this is riding on your cinch. Always have the open end of your lice cinch pointing towards the back so it don't catch brush and jam it into your animal's side. Make sure you run down through the middle, and then take your cinch, grab up your slack and throw off your excess rope towards the back of your animal. I like to run this behind your load. I usually take a little bit of my slack and just kind of hold it tight there, but the whole idea is to capture your top load, keep it out there, and then I walk around the back of my animal, maintaining the tension, and have the heel of your left hand going towards the your tension. I have my thumb out here. I slide down the rope and just kind of rotate that, reach up with my right hand, pull the tension, keep the tension on there, and pull the slack up to where I have a circle with a line behind it. Get enough slack, come back out around. And now again, what you want to do is come around behind your pannier. On both sides, you go to the front first and then the back. Pull your slack out, and notice we're capturing our load one more time. This rope here should be going right pretty close down to the center. Okay, now we've got a circle encapsulating your pannier. Now I'm pulling it up, grab the rest of my slack, and this time you want to throw your slack towards the front of your animal. And I usually grab the tension around one of the ears of the saddle, hold it there until I get over to the other side. Here again, it'll probably pop out, but we're wanting to capture your load. So now we've got a rope going towards the front, a rope towards the back, and a rope over the top. It's holding your load on. Pull on your rope, and again, have the heel of your left hand holding the tension up. Take your thumb, rotate that, pull down here, slide down your rope, keep this tension tight, and have a circle. And then what you want to do is you want to wrap the back part of your pannier first. Grab a little slack, go behind your pannier, and pull it down. Now you've captured your load front, top, back, and on both ends. And again, pull this up, take your rope, run it through your top rope, then bring a loop through your rope, tighten it up, take the slack out, and take a half hitch on your rope. Okay, this is the piggin string. This is something that you want to make sure is out at all times when you're putting a saddle on. This is what you tie your animals to so you can have your string put together when you put two or more. And what you always do is you start with your in animal. If you have 4 or 5 animals, you start with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 until you get to your front animal, and that way you're ready to go. I use nothing more than just binder twine. After you get to the piggin rope, and you put the piggin string on here, and what you do is you grab your lead rope, and I like about 10 foot of lead rope, and I tie a couple knots in my string so that if they happen to rear back and pop one, I've got another place to tie on and another place to tie on. What you do is you double your rope in like fashion, run the loop through your string, and come about halfway, and then the portion that is back to your animal you're tying on, take a half hitch. I always take about 2 half hitches, and you want them to have enough rope out there so that they can get a drink, and but you don't want so much rope out there they can get a leg over it. Now, as we're pulling on here, and if one's kicking at each other, you want to be able to keep them from kicking each other too. Now, one of the best inventions that I've seen come down the pike, or at least I'm real thrilled with it, is that Buck knife made by Buck. That everything's a one-handed operation. If you get in a jam and your string don't break, you need to cut them out. You can take this thing with one-handed operation and cut your string and lock it. That gives you a free hand to do whatever you want. It's also got a hoof pick on the one side, which I'm really fond of. Grab your riding horse and grab your lead horse. Put your rope up there. Okay, always make sure you have your lead rope in your opposite hand and never take a hard dally around your horn. If you got one that's pulling back, you can take one half turn around there to help pull that animal along, but do not dally hard so it'll get fast. You need to get out of that situation should a wreck ensue. And we're off to the mountains.